Welcome back, webheads. It's me, your host, DeMarco. You're listening to our Marvel Events podcast, where me and my brother, Steven,
Yes, it's me. Hello.
where we go from the very beginning of the Marvel universe, the Marvel Comics universe, and we read all the events leading up to hopefully present one
Hopefully,
day.
present time.
But
It's been a long.
it's looking less and less likely every episode.
It's been a long 50 years of reading that we've gone through, and like I said a few weeks ago, we finally made it into 1990 this year, and we got from 1939 to 1990 in a little over a year and 14 months, we'll say. And then when I looked at the rest of the stories that we have, we don't get from 1990 to 1992, like, until next year, like the next season or the next year. So we won't. 2023 is probably 2024 probably. Maybe right before that is when we get to 1992, and that's doing one episode a week.
Kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a hell of a lot. A 2-year span of reading. We don't get to that until a year from now.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Let's get it started, y'all.
Hello.
We gotta get Rob back on here. Gotta get that guy back on the show.
Put it in the notes.
Get Rob Rodello back on show. I'll send that to my assistant tonight. And get right on it.
What up, everybody?
Please cancel all my meetings for the rest of the day.
I have tamale making from 1 to 4.
We got about 45 minutes before people start coming over here and say, hey, we started. We need you guys to get over here and help.
Yeah, you guys start hearing other people talk.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because I told my wife it was going to take like an hour. And that's not.
I think you went to go check the car, and she was like, "Are you guys done?" I was like, "No, we got one more." And then the look on her eyes.
Yeah, this was never going to be an hour. So, what have you been up to?
Not much, man. Not much. Just doing my thing. Got this sweet haircut.
Yeah. It's a nice, crisp haircut.
Got hooked up by our cousin Greg.
The best barber there is.
Yep.
Not even the best barber in Tracy. Just the best barber there is.
The man takes his time, but he wants it perfect, which I appreciate.
I went to get a haircut from him one time, and he said, I could get your haircut done in like 20 minutes. And I was like, so why have we been here for like an hour? He was like, I don't know. He's like, every time you and your brother come over here, I just take hella long to get this done. I was like, I appreciate it. I'm not complaining.
I'd rather it look perfect and pristine than you have me in and out of that chair in 30 minutes.
Fazil, Fariel's brother, started going to him. And he's been going to his barber in Hayward for, who knows, like the last 10 years or something like that. And because he lives out in Tracy now, or he has been, but he just figured it's easier to get it out there. He started going to Greg. He was like, this is the best haircut I've ever had. I was like, I don't want to, I can't go back.
My one critique with Greg, though, is that sometimes he could be a little rough.
Yeah.
Like, he had the clippers, and he was just, like, going at it. I swear those things stabbed me in the eyebrow.
Yeah, he is. And then he plays it off like he did, like, oh, my bad. I didn't do that.
It's all good.
One time he, I don't even know if I should say this. I might have to cut this out. But one time he cut me like behind my ear over here, and then just like casually was like, "Oh, you're bleeding."
Like it was just like you walked in like that.
Yeah, like you thought my head just started randomly bleeding like that. But yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
He they play too much in there though.
They do.
That man farted one time and just tried to keep cutting my hair. And then the dude that's in the chair next to him thought I was somebody else one time, and like almost gave me a nut shot because he thought I was somebody else, and he caught himself. He was like, "Oh, that's not." I was like, "All right, watch yourself, man." And then our cousin Angie's boyfriend works there too.
Oh, he works there?
Chevelle, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he worked there.
Yeah.
I never see any other people there.
Well, it's hard because you have to take your glasses off and get your haircut. So it's like, I've seen him there because I have my glasses on when I walked in. But if you don't know he's there and you just take the glasses off, it's like, everybody looks the same. Somebody's just a little bit darker than the rest of them. But that's a nice haircut you got there.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, at the time of this podcast coming out, I went last Tuesday to get a haircut.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. I can only imagine that it looks great. But the problem is I will have to go again before Christmas.
Yeah, I have to go at some point.
So that's the part I hate about my hair growing so fast. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if everybody has to do that. Maybe.
I feel like everyone does. I mean, unless they don't care. Like, if you want your hair always looking like fresh and everything, yeah, you got to go like every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I haven't had a haircut since I want to say right before my birthday. So it's been like 2 months, and this shit's looking rough. But lately at work, it's been like every time I think I would have time to go get a haircut, my day's packed at work, so I can't go. And then when I have free time, it's like, well, I have free time. I got to do other shit. But once Ferio starts mentioning how long my hair is, it's like, okay, I got to get a haircut. Because I know I got a few more days after that for her to be like, when are you going to get your haircut? You got to fix this. So on a horrible segue, we wanted to talk about that Spotify Wrapped list real quick. Okay? So this year, we hit 11 countries.
Somehow,
we have people in 11 countries listening to this. These are our top 5. You know what they are?
What?
The U.S., obviously. Belgium. Canada. The U.K. And the Philippines.
So my thing...
Philippines.
Obviously, we know people in America.
Yes.
You may know some people in Canada. I don't know. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you know anyone in Belgium?
No.
Philippines?
Not. I know people that are from the Philippines.
Same. Okay. And then what was the other one? Canada? Oh, no.
The UK.
The UK. I don't know anybody from the UK.
I know people from the UK.
Okay.
So unless all of you guys are using VPNs or something, tricking the system, I don't know what's going on here. But if you're from Belgium, Canada, the UK, or the Philippines, just send us a message, man.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I'm so confused because
it's very confusing.
We ask you guys to interact with us and send us messages. Yeah. And
I want to talk to people from Belgium.
I don't work on the Instagram page. You do. And do you get any messages at all from?
Most of my messages on the Instagram page are from Gabe. The guy who lives 40 minutes from me. They're 95% from Gabe. And that's like no one else.
I don't get
we do get random follows.
Okay.
which have kind of been picking up a little bit more recently, but they're definitely not interested in us individually.
Yeah.
I can tell you that much. What else? So this one was, so the countries was confusing, but okay, cool. I get it. Your podcast is in the top 10% most shared globally. So out of all the podcasts that are out there, ours was shared the most in the top 10% of shared podcasts on Spotify. Ours was in that top 10% out of all the podcasts that are out there.
Which is weird. Are people not sharing podcasts?
That's what I was saying. Is like unless I'm really like going at it and I don't know, like you guys are just not sharing your podcast at all. Because it says most of it's from direct links, right? Mm. So when I post stories on our page every week when the episode comes out, I link it on there. Mm. Our website has direct links on there for Spotify as well. Our shares are direct links. So it's somebody just like either finding the episode on Spotify and copying the link and then sharing it like that, or they're on the website clicking on it. I don't know, but only 3% of it has come from Instagram.
That's wild.
Yeah. That's nuts.
I mean,
thank you guys.
Yeah, we definitely thank you guys for.
This is very surprising because last year none of this information was anywhere near this. And then it says your podcast saw a lot of gains this year. Our hours of listens gone up almost 1,000%. Since last year. Our number of streams has gone up 1,000% since last year. Granted, we only spent 4 months of last year putting episodes out. Because we started like August 6th, I think. So 4 or 5 months.
How does it feel like we've been doing this for 2 to 3 years?
I don't know. I have no idea. But it does feel like that sometimes. And like we were saying in the beginning of the episode, like how we went from 1939 to 1990 in that year. I think that's part of what kind of makes it feel like we've been doing it for so long.
And we've had so many like changes like on how we record. So we had our separate phase.
Yeah.
We were doing it in like I was recording in my closet.
Yeah.
In my car.
Yeah, right off the computer.
Yeah.
And then we got the new mics, and we've been doing it here at Grandma's house. And then we had that little outside era where we were just recording everything outside. Mm-hmm. So we did one in a park.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of different things. The covers have changed. The audio quality's gotten better. A lot's happening. It's funny because sometimes you think, oh, if I just stick with this for like a year, things will just really pop off. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't happen that way. And then I just wish more people that are successful in things would speak more about how long it actually took to get there. Because it's not always like an overnight success thing. So like the us being in the top 10% of the shares is surprising, but it's also not, because I feel like not everybody puts a good amount of work into the podcast. They just record, shove it out, say, hey, I did something.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not too surprising that we're there, but it's also, like, I don't share it every which way every place I go. So, like, we're still in the top 10%. So now next year I want to be in the top 5.
When you sent me that, I was looking at it and I was like, dang. I think what I would really want to see, like what I think would be really dope, is if like we get like really big, but not in America, like in like the Philippines or like Mexico or something,
Yeah, I'd be okay
and
with
they
that.
invite us to like their Comic Con or
Hell yeah.
whatever.
Fuck it, I'll go. I will go. At any of those places. Philippines, UK, Belgium. Shit, I'll go to Canada.
Yeah, I don't care. Like,
If you invite us out there, we'll go.
yeah,
So, we're the number one podcast for 8 people. Which doesn't sound like a lot.
I mean,
But with all those shows out there, I don't even... I'm surprised that it was number one on my Spotify. Because I listen to hella other stuff. But it was in the top 10 for 30 people.
that's pretty good.
Yeah. So that's 11 countries. We put out 39 episodes last year or this year so far. We put out almost 3,000 minutes of audio over the whole year. Been killing it, dog. And yeah. I mean, thanks, guys. That's all I
Definitely
can say.
appreciate
Thank
you guys. You know, we always joke with you guys and say, you know, send us messages, send us this, send us that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys are listening. That's more
Yeah,
than enough
I mean, it's
that we can ask for.
very clearly like people are at least sharing the episode.
Yeah.
Um,
No such thing as bad press.
yeah.
We don't know what you guys are saying, but
For all I know, you're copying and pasting it, the link, and then sending it to your friend and saying, "Hey, this show's fucking stupid." But you brought my shares up, so I mean, for all I'm gonna try to spend this next coming year, maybe hopefully getting us some advertising or like some sponsors.
Oh, nice. Hello Fresh.
HelloFresh.
Look, I'm already saying it. You guys should just pay us already.
What else? BetterHelp.
BetterHelp. Lisa mattresses if they're still a thing.
Yeah, somebody, anybody.
Stamps.com.
Yeah, damn it. Stamps.com was a good one.
Skillshare.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to reach out to
Squarespace.
some. Hopefully, we can get maybe like a comic book shop to sponsor us.
Oh, that'd be nice.
So we'll see.
We'll do a meet and greet there.
I've been meaning to talk to because Crush Comics had that party a few weeks ago for Halloween. A few weeks ago, like a month ago.
Yeah.
And I think they had other booths and stuff out there.
Oh.
Like people I think they had like some artists or something. But shit, let us get a booth. I mean, it's all comic books.
We'll do a live show that day.
Yeah, fuck it. Let us get a booth. Sit down with some random people. Talk comic books. It might work. I'm gonna put some feelers out there. What's the next big holiday that you guys are having a party for? Because I'll bring my own table. I got a guy that makes signs and everything. I could do it. We can figure this out.
Well, what does she do? She works in tables.
Listen, man, I just bought 2 new folding tables on Amazon. I'm an adult now. I can make. You need me there? I'm there with the table. I'm ready. What else? So yeah, that was all I got to say about those numbers. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Try communicating with us at one point.
Yeah. Even if like, because I know we're getting people from other countries.
Yeah.
Even if you don't speak any English, just send us.
Send it in your language.
Yeah. There's
Whatever
Google
language
Translate.
it is. In Instagram, it translates for you.
I mean, obviously, your
You
You're
know some
listening to our
English.
show.
Yeah, you know some English, or you might be using it to learn English.
Hey, just send us something. You can send us an emoji.
I don't care. I don't care.
We'll send you 2 back.
The Webheads page, the notifications pop up on my phone every time we get something. So I see Gabe's name a lot. And I'm super appreciative because he listens like to every episode and actually listens because he tells me like random shit that I fucked up on that I just didn't see or hear, and he seems to actually enjoy it. But I know there's more of you guys out there that listen. I'm always gonna hear from Gabe, so I know he's gonna be constantly there. But I'm okay spending my time talking to everybody else too.
Yeah.
So send it, like Mark said. If it's in a different language, I don't care. I'll figure it out. We'll get that dialogue going, and that's it. So what do we? Actually, before we get to your story, let me tell everybody what's coming out this week.
Okay.
We got Dark Web X-Men #1, the part of that big event that's going on right now. Deadpool #2. I wasn't really a big fan of the first one. Just regular Deadpool stuff. Invincible Iron Man #1. Looks like it's going to be good. That's on my list to pick up. Legion of X #8. Monica Rambeau Photon #1. I'm going to pick that up to see what that's doing. The Origin of Marvel Comics. Marvel Tales #1. I'm not sure what that is, but I might pick it up. Planet Hulk World Breaker. I picked up the first one, haven't read it yet, so we'll see how that goes. Savage Avengers #8, Star Wars Bounty Hunters #29, The Mandalorian #6, and Spider-Man #15. And we are a couple issues on that Amazing Spider-Man from those Disney variant covers. Somebody's outside the door. They're going to kill us.
Speak for yourself. I'm going to put up a fight.
Yeah, right. We're not getting out of this room.
I didn't say I was going to get out the room. I said I was going to put up a fight. Though.
Yeah, you're going to put up a fight and get beat up. It's going to leave you. Whoever's on the other side of the door is going to leave you laying on the ground. I don't care who's out there.
Psych. Fight anybody.
All right, you heard it first, Grandma. Yeah, we're a few issues from those Disney Spider-Man variant covers, which I'm gonna try to get. We'll see how it goes. But all I know is I'm gonna be at Crush's door as soon as that thing opens with my arms crossed like this. With a mean mug on my face, like where's that cover at?
You should email them or something. See if they can put them aside for you.
How do those pool boxes work?
From what I remember, I think I would just give them a list of the books I wanted, and then they would just put them aside for when I come in.
Were you ever able to like ask for like specific covers, or they just give you whatever?
I don't remember ever asking for any specific covers. I'm pretty sure you could, but I think I think you go in and say, hey, I want to put together like a pool box list, and then they'll ask for your email and everything, and I think you would just ask like, hey, I want to try to get this cover or just this issue.
Maybe I'll do it. If not, because those Fantastic Four ones, I'm trying to get the all 4 of the Alex Ross covers for the first 4 issues. But their regular covers for them are really nice.
I gotta look those up.
Yeah, but those Alex Ross ones, can't pass it up. I need more storage boxes though.
Did I tell you about the ones that like you can stack them and then like pull them out like drawers too?
Yeah, I gotta look for those.
Yeah,
because that would be a lot easier. Or like I said, I'm just gonna get that file cabinet.
I just have a storage bin just full of books somewhere. I gotta go through it and like figure out which ones I want to keep and which ones I don't want.
Yeah, I donated a stack to Goodwill a few weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah. just random. It was like in the beginning when I was first buying stuff, and like I just never finished any of the stories. So I figured none of them were really worth anything. All the covers that I like really like, I kept and like hung up on the wall.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So what story do we have?
Today, we are reading a classic. And the reason I say it's a classic is that you remember back in the day when TV shows would do those episodes where it's like the main character or like a friend started doing drugs or drinking, and at the end they would do like a, hey, I'm so and so who plays Don't Do Drugs, Kids, and they would do all that.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like.
Perfect.
It's almost like a
It's like a Dare video.
yeah, it's almost like a Dare video, but not. It's not super explicit with it. There's certain parts of it where you're reading it and you're like, okay, I get the preachy part, but it doesn't let that deter from a comic book. You still get the action, you still get the characters showing up, the villains and everything, and it's pretty jam packed with some interesting characters.
Let's get started.
All right, so let's see. So I believe, if I remember correctly, I screenshotted it. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Technically 7 issues. If you want, you can throw in a Daredevil issue where Cap shows up and they kind of chat about for a little bit, but it's not necessarily like a must read to. There's a little monkey outside.
There's a monkey in a Christmas sweater out there.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to, it could be 8 issues. If you don't, 7 issues.
Yeah, we'll put them all there so you guys can figure it out.
It starts in Captain America issue number 372. So with that one, let's begin. Let me pull up my writing real quick. Okay. So issue 1 starts with Cap flying his new sky cycle. He's getting a feel for it. He likes the new adjustments that he got. It's real smooth. He can do a lot of maneuvers and everything. He decides to go show it off and pay a visit to Diamondback. So the players in this story, obviously Captain America. We're going to have some side characters like Diamondback. She's a reformed supervillain. She used to be part of the Serpent Society. She has like these like little capsules that are diamond shaped that have different things. So she can throw like a smoke diamond or like a flash diamond. So she has those, but she's reformed now, and her and Cap have been getting pretty close. So they're almost an item, but without the official title. They're John Jameson, which J. Jonah Jameson, his son. John Jameson is an astronaut. He's no longer in space. He's working for the Avengers. And then we also, later on, we'll get some other characters. Kingpin, Daredevil, Red Skull pop up, Bullseye, Crossbones. Those are all the big ones that'll show up, but we get some minor stuff as well. So, continuing with the story, he decides to swing by Diamondback's place to show her the new sky cycle. But as he's about to come down from the sky, he notices that someone is scoping out her place from the rooftop across the street. So he decides to land behind the person. His sky cycle's super silent, so they don't know that he's coming down behind them.
Keep it under 5 miles an hour. It's completely silent.
He ends up spooking the guy, and Cap recognizes that he's actually a member of the Serpent Society called Boomsling. So after Boomsling notices that Cap is there, he freaks out and he jumps off the roof, uses the fire escape and starts running. Cap doesn't think there's enough time to jump on a sky cycle, so he jumps off the roof and chases him out on foot. As he's chasing him, Boomsling makes a turn through an alley hoping to lose Cap in there, but before Cap can get there, he hears gunshots go off. So he turns the corner and he sees Boomsling on the ground, surrounded by a bunch of youths who ended up shooting him. They ended up shooting him just because. And so Cap walks over to the gang and, gives them the whole, hey, if you guys surrender now, you won't get hurt, this and that. They decide to shoot at him. He takes him out pretty easily. Boomsling's still alive, so he calls the authorities. They come and scoop up all the gang members that are still alive, takes the injured ones to the hospital, as well as Boomsling. And he's in a coma.
Is so Boomsling called the cops?
No, Cap calls cops. So he calls the cops, and then he's just like, wow, that was a strange night. Like, why? I don't know why Boomsling was scoping out Diamondback's place, and these kids just all of a sudden just fired on him. Like, that's weird. But he doesn't think too much of it. So he heads back to Avengers HQ. Where was I? Yeah, he then makes his way back to Avengers HQ, and as soon as he arrives, he's told that one of the workers, who goes by the name Fabian, has been acting very strange and not himself. Cap goes to talk to him and instantly feels like Fabian is on something. He's paranoid, agitated, and he hasn't slept for days. He feels like there's a bug in his head, like he's being tracked by the Masters of Evil. So he's been working on this project for 3 days to try to get this device out of his head. And Cap is like, hey, are you on something? Like, what's going on? You know, we had this arrangement that when you start working here that you would tell me everything you're working on. That's, how we're supposed to be, open with each other. And Fabian's like, no, I'm not on anything. And Cap's like, come on, you can tell me. So he finally opens up and he says, after a couple of stressful days at work, one of my friends decided to give me something. It's sort of like crack, but the side effects are way different. Like, it lasts longer. You don't feel like you're addicted to anything. And then Cap kind of tells him like, hey, we have a no drug policy here at the Avengers HQ. We're not going to stand for you being on drugs here. And so Fabian's like, oh, I need this job. I can't lose this. And so Cap is like, we're going to put you in rehab. And so he he grabs someone else and has them set up a meeting with a rehabilitation center so Fabian can get help. Later that night, Cap is doing some research about the popular drugs in the city, and ice isn't one of them. Ice is the name of the drug. And so Cap is also stuck on a question Fabian asked him, where he basically called Cap a hypocrite because the Super-Soldier Serum is essentially a drug. So Cap is telling him drugs, aren't needed. You're only harming yourself. And then Fabian turns around and says, isn't your Super-Soldier Serum a drug?
What about you, punk?
So Cap has been stuck on it all day and like, damn, am I really a drug user?
I'm a drug addict.
Me personally think that's two separate things.
That's not the same thing at all.
This man's taking it recreationally.
Yeah.
This is part of your thing. Like,
yeah, you took it 45 years ago.
Yeah, and you did it for the betterment of what you thought was like your country.
Yeah, you did it one time.
This guy just had a long day at work. He was like, I need to relax. But nonetheless, Cap is very captivated by that question, and he's starting to kind of think like, who am I without my Super-Soldier Serum, And so we cut to a prison up north, and inside the cell, it's explained that the occupant of the cell is monitored 24/7. Everything is either glued or cemented down. None of his clothes the buttons on his clothes have been removed, and he is sedated 2 times a month and taken somewhere to be cleaned up and put back in the cell. The occupant of the cell stands up and slams his face into the brick wall, blood flying everywhere. He falls to the ground, reeling in pain, and falls unconscious. The guards on duty open the doors and decide to check on him without following protocol, which ends up being their undoing. Just as the guard kneels down to check the man, a tooth is ejected from his mouth and shot into the guard's eye. In a split second, the man is able to take the guard's gun out and use his gun to take the other guard hostage and lead him out to escape. Back in the city, Cap decides he needs to know where the drugs are coming from, so he asks Fabian where his dealer is. Cap asks Jameson to roll with them, and so in disguise, Cap is wearing like a full beard and long hair and a beanie and like a jacket. and Jameson just throws on a mustache and a beanie, just like driving around in a van. He asks Jameson to help him out and drive him around, and in full disguise, Cap goes to the dealer and pretends to be someone picking up the drugs for Fabian. When the dealer pulls a gun on Cap, he uses his strength to subdue him and throws him in the back of the truck and basically kidnaps him. The guy thinks he's the Punisher and thinks he's going to get killed, and Cap uses this to his advantage and tells him as long as he gives him the information he wants, he won't get killed. The dealer leads Cap to his supplier, who then Cap also kidnaps and tells him and asks him where he's getting his supply from. That leads him to a warehouse down on the east side, and when Cap shows up, he jumps in through the ceiling, takes out one of the goons, but as he is... Oh, actually, I skipped this part. So they get to the warehouse, and then takes off his disguise, and he's Captain America, and these guys thought he was the Punisher, and he just leaves them in the van. So he's dressed as Captain America now. He jumps in through the roof, takes out one goon. He ends up finding another guy, though, inside the warehouse, and he tries talking to the guy, hey, what are you doing? What's going on here? The guy instantly pulls out a trigger and was like, why don't I show you? And blows the whole place up, killing himself, and everyone thinking Cap is dead as well, too. And so that's where the issue number 1 ends. Mm. Issue 2 begins with John in the van viewing the explosion from the outside. Cap was in the explosion, prompting her to call authorities and also any reserve team members to come up and help. John also calls Cap's love interest Diamond back to let her know what had happened, and she shortly arrives to see the fallout from the destruction. A short while later, the fire department and the ambulance also show up and help put out the fire and assist with any medical help that's needed. John and Diamondback are watching everything unfold. Still no sign that Cap is alive until he randomly appears behind them. Appearing almost dazed and very much like he just didn't come out of an explosion, he lays one big one on Diamondback and explains that he escaped the explosion at the last second by jumping out the window. The three decide to head back to Avengers HQ, but Cap declares that he's feeling more like Captain America than he's felt in years. So he's just like super just like, yeah, I'm feeling like juice, like real almost like kind of antsy, but like
maybe he is a drug addict.
High on adrenaline, right? So they get back to... Oh, we then cut to an office building at Fisk Tower, and the man that was seen in the prison is now in the lobby with the office manager in a headlock. And this is just a poor little sweet lady he has in a headlock. And the woman's cries prompt the Kingpin to come out of his office to see what's going on. And that's when we learn that the man is none other than Bullseye. And so he escaped prison, and
he was giving her a nookie. Come on, Barbara.
Because she told him that Mr. Fisk isn't in the office. So when he comes out, he's like, well, look at that. He is in. And so he comes to the Kingpin to ask for his job back, as he's been gone for so long, he wants to get back into the assassination game. Kingpin tells him that he's been replaced by a new bodyguard who goes by the name of Typhoid. And if Bullseye wants to work for him again, he has to prove himself. Kingpin basically tells him, because he dislodged his own tooth to escape prison, so he tells him, come back here in a uniform and with some dental work, and I might have a job for you. And so he literally comes back in his Bullseye outfit and a fake tooth. And Kingpin explains to him that one of his warehouses was blown up, and his cop informants say that there were signs of drugs being stored there, but they weren't his drugs. So he wants Bullseye to go investigate and figure out whose drugs they actually were and who's trying to push in on his territory. Bullseye takes the job and is on his way. Meanwhile, flying over the night sky, Cap and Diamondback are on a sky cycle. Cap intends to dig further into the drug ring and the potential drug war that's about to happen, and is determined to flip every rock he can. Cap is acting very strange. He's acting very erratic and not thinking through his actions, and once they're over the site of the burned building, he just jumps off and just lets Diamondback fly it, but didn't give her any instructions on how to fly the thing. And so she's freaking out. Just like, I don't know how to fly this. Yeah, so we also find out that Peggy, while looking through the reserves, everyone was busy except for Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow.
Great.
So he calls her in, or she called her in, and Natasha's been watching Steve for a while, but she just happens to jump in on the situation right as Diamondback is flying away on his sky cycle. So Natasha jumps on and thinks Diamondback had something to do with Steve disappearing. So they have a quick fight, but eventually neither of them know how to fly the thing and they crash it into the Hudson. Steve drops in on the building and he's investigating around and he starts to search for his clues, but little does he know Bullseye's also in the building and it's pitch black in there, so neither of them know the other's in there. But mistakenly, Cap is a little clumsy and he makes a sound causing Bullseye to be more aware of the fact that someone else is also in there. So Cap doesn't see, all he sees is the flashlight, but he didn't see he was holding it. And so Bullseye throws a knife and the flashlight at Cap. So he sees the light coming, so he blocks that with his, it's a shovel. So he blocks the light with his shield, but the shovel hits his knee. So his knee buckles pretty much. And that's where the second issue ends. Issue 3. The issue starts with Bullseye and Cap fighting it out. And Bullseye gets a lucky shot on Cap and injures his leg. Both are putting their all into the fight, but eventually Bullseye realizes he's not being paid for this. And just knowing Captain America is there is enough information for him to hand over to Kingpin. So he ditches the fight. When Cap makes it outside, he meets with Diamondback, and she picks him up on his cycle. She asked him why he just decided to ditch her on something that she has no control over, which he just brushes off and decides he needs to go back to HQ. Diamondback also tells him that Black Widow is there, and that gets him even more agitated.
Just imagine he came out. He's like, "Oh, why is my shit wet? I left you up here to fly this thing. Why is my shit wet?" What do you mean Black Widow was here?
So he finds out Black Widow's there, and he's like yelling at Peggy, like, "Why'd you call her? I can handle this on my own." And she's like, "Oh, well, I assumed because you were hurt, we needed somebody to figure out what's going on." And he's like, "You work for me. You don't do anything unless I tell you to do it, and this is my job, so don't worry, sir." And then, he tells everyone, "Leave me alone. I'm going to do this all on my own." And Diamondback and Jameson come to the conclusion that the explosion has changed Cap in some sort of way, whether it's him being like PTSD or some other thing, but they think that the explosion may have some sort of effect on his attitude. We cut back to the night sky and we see Daredevil flying through the skies. He's trying to get back on his feet. In previous Daredevil issues, he was actually in like a demon dimension for a while, and then he came back and he was just staying up north, like the north of New York, just in some town, just doing his own thing for a while.
In Buffalo for a few weeks.
And so now he's back in town, but his skills aren't on par with what they used to be. So he's just trying to get back on his feet and like get his skills back to where they were before. We then cut back to Bullseye. He tells Kingpin that Cap is involved and he's not happy. And Kingpin is not happy with Captain America's involvement in all this, because the more that superheroes are involved, the more likely it is that this is all just going to fall apart. On their own adventure, Diamondback is gunned down by the gang members, mistakenly, but she saves Jameson by covering him while they get shot at. And Cap is now getting more and more violent and starts attacking rich people who are buying drugs. So there's this guy who's buying drugs off of somebody, and Cap literally flipped the car over, pulls this guy out from the limo, and tells him, "You need to do better with your own money. Drugs are ruining this world."
You want drugs, bitch? That's what you want?
And so that's...
You want me to push you up against the wall, bitch? Cap, chill out.
And so that's where that issue ends. The next one begins with Diamondback being shot. Uh, after she gets shot, she passes out, and eventually Jameson wakes up because in order to get him down quick enough, she ended up tripping him, and he fell face first on the cement. So he was knocked unconscious while she laid on him to cover him from being shot. He eventually wakes up and sees that she's unconscious now, but he doesn't see any blood on the ground. So he takes her jacket off and realizes her suit is made of some sort of like Kevlar material enough to protect her. Mm-hmm. So she's kind of awake. So he decides that he needs to get her home and get her resting so that she can heal up. Yeah. We then cut to a sort of like a warehouse club. You know, like the ones where it's not legal, but someone has it. So Cap is there looking for drugs, and just a bunch of teenagers and younger people there. And they're all surrounding Cap as he's yelling at them and scolding them and telling them that they're all bad people and drugs are going to ruin their life if they don't stop doing these. And he's there looking for somebody. He's looking for the owner of the club. And no one's speaking up, so he's like, wow, you guys are really going to protect this drug dealer? And then the guy finally reveals himself, but he has somebody at gunpoint and is telling Cap, get out. I don't want any trouble. Just leave or this guy is going to get blasted. He's like, put the shield down. So Cap is like, all right. So he takes his shield and he holds it up just to like high enough. He's like, where do you want me to put this? And he's like, just put it down. And he just flings it. He just flings the shield and it goes between the gun and the guy's head, and it cuts the gun in half. And then he grabs the guy he's looking for and jumps out a window with them.
Cap is a madman.
He's a menace at this point. So he grabs the dude. They're flying on the sky cycle, and he's literally holding on to the guy just by his jacket, like hella up in the sky. He's like, I have super strength, but my arm's getting pretty tired, so you better start talking quick. And the guy's just like, all right, I'll tell you. So then we cut to the safe house for all the gang members. And these dudes are straight savages. Like, they're really just going around town just shooting people just for the fun of it. And they come back and they're getting out the car and they're just talking. And there's, I only killed 5 people today. I only killed 2 people. And then they get to the warehouse and they see this homeless guy digging through the trash. So they're like, let me kill this one. I was driving all night, let me just get one. Yeah. And they're about to shoot the guy. And the guy turns around and throws 2 bottles at 2 guys, a sigh at another guy, and then pulls out a gun on another guy. And we find out it's Bullseye.
It's all 4 of the Ninja Turtles.
So Bullseye takes the driver hostage. And he's like, hey, I'm not going to kill you, but you're going to tell me everything I want, and you're going to take me where I want to go. And the driver's like, all right, cool, no harm. And then we jump back to, there's like this restaurant in town. It's only for like the richest people. So Kingpin's there eating dinner, and then Cap just strolls in and sits down right next to him and just starts eating his food. And is like, look. He's like, I hear you're a part of like this whole drug that's kicking off. And Kingpin's like, I would never do that. But if I was involved with it, like, I think it would be nice if you told me who else is involved, because then I can help the city out. And Cap is like, I'm just going to tell you this once. Stop doing what you're doing.
Stop playing these games.
Or I'm going to come back and we're really going to have some problems. And so Kingpin is like, I still don't know what you're talking about, but again, thank you for letting me know of this this crime going on in the city. I'll be more than happy to put whoever's involved in jail and help you take them down. And Cap is just like, yeah, whatever. And so he leaves, but as soon as he leaves, he's met by Daredevil. And Daredevil is like, hey, because in the past Daredevil issue, Cap was actually there. He decided to take a quick break. But at the end of it, he got pissed off because no one was taking his drug story too seriously. So Daredevil shows up and he's trying to talk to Cap. And he's just like, hey, I'm here to help you out. And Cap, at this point, the drugs are working even harder, so he's getting more paranoid. So he's like, oh, who sent you? I told them I wanted to work alone. They don't think I can work alone. They think I'm, not good enough. So then he throws a swing at Daredevil. So then they have a quick fight. But Daredevil, he's good, but he doesn't have super strength. He just has heightened senses, and he's acrobatic. So he can lay a few punches and kicks on Cap, but overall Cap is still going to be stronger. And at this point, Cap is not holding back. So he's swinging with the shield, throwing his shield, like really trying to kill whoever he's trying to fight. And he eventually gets one good hit on Daredevil and knocks him out. Mm-hmm. But as Daredevil's laying on the ground, Cap is already gone. We see that Crossbones has come up. And he just sees an unconscious Daredevil, and he's like, oh, this should be fun. And that's where the issue ends. The next issue starts with Daredevil unconscious on the ground, Crossbones standing above him, basically just taunting this guy he thinks is unconscious. Mm-hmm. Talking about, oh, should I... But Matt's not really unconscious. He's like, should I kill you? Should I just, rough you up a little bit? He has like an affinity for roughing up superheroes. Mm. So he actually unmasked Daredevil too, just to see what he looks like. But he puts the mask back on him, and he's like, you know what? I'll just leave you alone. He's like, I got a job to do tonight. So he leaves Daredevil, and as he leaves, Matt wakes up, and he's like, I don't know who that was. I've never seen this guy before. Mm. And he was hoping he was going to say his name in his whole monologue.
Hey, me, Crossbones, I would normally kill you.
Other guys, they would kill you. But me, I'm Crossbones. Let me give him a whole backstory real quick. And so Crossbones leaves him because he's on a mission to kill Fisk. He was sent by none other than Red Skull. So he goes into this exclusive kitchen, murders everybody, almost gets Fisk, but Daredevil shows back up and basically distracts him enough for Fisk to get away. They have another quick little... They actually have a quick little fight, Daredevil and Crossbones. But Crossbones, again, gets away. As well as Fisk. Cap now is sitting in an alley, scruffy beard. Super paranoid at this point, thinking everybody's out to get him. The drugs are really, really working on... They're working with the Super-Soldier Serum, so he's like really distracted. And thinks that he's the only one who can save the city from this drug epidemic.
I gotta save this.
And so, cutting back to Diamondback and Jameson, they eventually run into Black Widow, and they kind of make up for whatever. Black Widow thought Diamondback was still a villain, and Diamondback thought Black Widow was just trying to fight her, but she didn't have time to explain who she was. Mm-hmm. So Black Widow's like, Cap, something's wrong with Cap. I'm down to help you guys if you need me. So what do you need me to do? So they're like, all right, let's go ahead and figure out exactly how this is happening. So cutting back, Crossbones was chasing after Fisk in his car. But when he realized he wasn't going to catch him, he goes back to the restaurant where Daredevil was unconscious again, and Daredevil's gone too. And so Crossbones is like, damn, like now I have to call my boss and tell him I messed up. He's not going to be too happy. So he calls him and tells him. We then show Daredevil is up on one of the buildings, like barely being able to make it up there. Like his strength is just not where it was before. And that's where that issue ends.
How many issues are we in? No?
I think we're about to be on 6.
Thank God.
Am I right?
Cap is losing his shit here. This does. It already does sound like something that I would want to see, like on a cartoon or.
Yeah.
Like...
Oh no, that wasn't actually the end. So yeah, Crossbones calls Red Skull. Cap is now like, he's beating up kids, like kids who are just doing drugs. He's beating them up too.
Well, I told you he slammed in my issue. He slammed that kid into the fucking device.
So as he's beating up these kids, Natasha and Diamondback show up and they take him on to 2 versus 1. They're able to kind of hold their own, but he's still quicker than them. So any openings they get, they try to get him, and he's just able to dodge and hit. Eventually, though, they get him. Natasha hits him with one of her venom blasts or whatever they're called. Hits him like dead in the head and knocks him unconscious. Mm. And that's all I needed to get him back to Avengers HQ. But then we cut to a building across town. Crossbones is explaining to Red Skull how he messed up, but that Daredevil showed up. But on the outside of the building, we see Bullseye's ready, gun ready, just waiting for Crossbones to leave the room so he can shoot Red Skull in the head. Mm. And that's where that issue ends. Next one starts exactly where we left off. Bullseye's outside the building waiting for Crossbones to leave so he can shoot Red Skull. As soon as he hears Crossbones leave, though, he jumps to that window and blasts Red Skull right in the face. Like, down for the count. Nice. Crossbones jumps in. They have a short little bout. Bullseye's able to get away. He jumps out a window because he has adamantium lace bones, so he'll be fine. And then Crossbones realizes that wasn't the Red Skull. It was just a life model decoy, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So, Red Skull's fine.
So casually just killed Red Skull.
Yeah. Back at Avengers HQ, Steve is still asleep, but they're like, he just needs rest. Like, we don't know how much of his paranoia is coming from just not sleeping or from the actual drugs. But he just needs to sleep. Mm. We then cut back to Fisk, who's then getting the news that Red Skull's dead. And so he gets off the phone with Bullseye, and Typhoid is like, oh, so now our problems are gone, right? He's dead. And Fisk is like, this is just the start. He's not dead. Like, there's no way Bullseye's that lucky. And so Steve is still asleep, but he starts having like these visions of him getting the serum for the first time, and he's like, is this a drug, doctor? Am I a drug addict now? And then Red Skull pops up into his dreams and tells him he's worthless. He's a drug addict just like everybody else. No way he can live up to the values of America by being some drug head.
Imagine if that's why people didn't want to get the vaccine.
I don't do drugs.
I don't put that stuff into my system.
I only put cheeseburgers and beer in here.
Yeah, I smoke a little bit of weed.
I might have smoked crack once. Which led to me doing it every weekend, but I'm never putting a vaccine.
I'm functioning.
And so Cap wakes up from that dream, like, all freaked out, like, he's just like, this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. So he tears the room apart. And then everybody comes in and they're like calming him down, like, hey, let's just get you back in bed. You're just, we want to help you out. We're here for you. But this is like the part in the TV show where the kid smokes weed once and then accidentally hits somebody in his car. And they're like, hey, we know you just did it while you were high. It's okay. But then, so then we cut back to Red Skull and Crossbones. And they're in the factory of where they're making ice. And Red Skull is pretty much just saying, this is going to be our biggest factory. We're going to be able to get so much of this out. Mm-hmm. And once it's out, like, people are going to be crazy for it. We're going to take over the city. And then he casually just kills his accountant. They just walk into the office, and then he's like, oh, don't mind me, and then sprays her with something and kills her.
Like, what the fuck?
That's a Nazi for you.
Her eyes weren't blue enough.
And then we cut back to Avengers HQ. Hank Pym is working with the doctor there, trying to figure out how they're supposed to get the drugs out of Cap's system. And the only way he can think of is by giving him a blood transfusion and basically taking all of his blood out, getting the drugs out of his blood, and then putting it back into his body. And that's really the only way they can think of it. Meanwhile, they tell Cap about that, and he's down for it, but once he does do it, he won't have the Super-Soldier Serum in his body. So he is kind of like weighing out the options. But he thinks, if I'm going to do this, I have to also know that I can still be Captain America. And I'm not just Captain America because of the Super-Soldier Serum. So he gets out of bed, and after they do the procedure, and he's like, I have to go outside and see if I'm still worth it. So he puts his suit back on and heads on out to go find the drugs.
What an inspiring story.
And so he jumps on the sky. This is the beginning of the next issue. He jumps on a sky cycle, flying around the city looking for anything. He doesn't even know what he's really looking for. Like, is he just going to beat up some random thug? Or is he going to try to find some supervillain? Or, like, what is he going to do to test himself?
That old lady looks pretty buff. Let me try her.
We then find out that because Fisk and Red Skull both tried to assassinate each other, that they decided to actually just meet in person. So after a Yankees game, where apparently the Red Sox beat the Yankees 3-26. So I'm assuming someone doesn't like the Yankees at this time. They decide to hold their meeting at Yankee Stadium. So they wait for everybody to leave. At the end of it, Red Skull comes in his helicopter with his goons. Fisk is there with his goons. And they try to come up to an agreement. Either Fisk buys into Red Skull's like drug ring and he gets some of the profits, or he either buys the whole thing and Red Skull leaves, and either way, Red Skull's trying to come out with money. They have their own little arguments about morality, and essentially, Red Skull thinks the drugs show that America isn't this world power. It's basically just shows that all they want to do is just not focus on anything and just be...
Yeah, man, all we want to do is party and bullshit.
Yeah, essentially.
That's it.
And Fisk thinks drugs are a good way to weed out the weak people in society. To get them addicted to the drugs, and the rich and strong will survive, and that's how we'll show that America's great. And so these two are going at it, coming up with not even solutions, but they know they just don't want each other in each other's business. So Red Skull's like, all right, why don't we have a competition? We'll fight each other.
Academic decathlon.
We'll fight hand-to-hand combat. If I win, you let me run my drug ring, no issues. If you win, you can buy my drugs, and I'll leave town, and everything will be yours. So Fisk is like, cool, I'm down. So Fisk undresses. They undress down to just their underwear.
He loves fighting them, though.
And Fisk is just there in his underwear, just, a big man. Red Skull's ripped to shit. And then apparently Fisk didn't know that Red Skull's face is just like that and not a mask. Because he stripped down to everything. He's like, you're not taking your mask off? He was like, oh no, this is my face. This is what I look like on a day-to-day basis,
buddy,
my
I
friend.
sleep like this.
So they start fighting each other. And they're putting in work. I'm surprised they're holding, at least Kingpin, I'm surprised he's able to move that quick and like take some hits. We jump back to the sky with Cap flying around, and he notices that the Yankee Stadium lights are still on at 2 a.m. So like something's weird going on there. We jump back to the fight. It looks like Red Skull's getting the upper hand on a lot of it, but then Fisk comes back and just starts whooping his ass too. Cap lands at the top of the stadium, and Crossbones thought he's seen him flying in, so he goes to go meet him. At this point, Cap doesn't have the Super-Soldier Serum, but he can't let Crossbones know that. So they're fighting each other, and he's just really letting Crossbones like make all the mistakes. Anything that Cap feels like may not be like a good option, he just letting Crossbones go a little bit further, just so Cap has a little bit more time to think about it and like use his weight and his power against him. He eventually gets the upper hand on Crossbones and judo chops his his throat, which knocks him out, and he's able to subdue him. Down at the field, Fisk and Red Skull are still fighting, and Red Skull thought he would, like, his finishing move was going to be bringing Kingpin down to his knees. So he did, like, some kicks and everything, did, like, a flip, and his last move was to, like, land on his Fisk's feet with the heels of Red Skull's feet, which didn't do anything. All it did was just allow Kingpin to grab him and squeeze him, and then fall forward. So Red Skull's just trapped under this huge man. And then Fisk is just like, I can squeeze your skull and crush it. I can dig my thumbs into your eyes. I can literally rip your skull apart. What would you rather me do? And he's like, fine, you win. Like, I give up. So Red Skull gives up. He decides he's going to sell his business basically to Kingpin, and for a moderate price, he says. But he essentially just gets run out of town, and Kingpin's on top. And Cap goes down to the field to try to catch Red Skull, but by the time he gets there, he's gone. Kingpin is like, oh, I don't know what's happening, but, thanks for saving us, I guess. And so they go their separate ways, and Cap realizes that he's still Captain America even without the Super-Soldier Serum. Now he just has to work a little bit harder. And that's where it ends.
Interesting.
And this whole time there is like a second story in the end with Battlestar and U.S. Agent. And I was like, I'm not incorporating any of that into this.
When they do that.
But yeah, that was it. Cap finds out that he's a drug addict, and now he's off drugs and he's a better person.
I gotta say, I liked it.
It was pretty cool. I liked it.
That was pretty damn good.
Yeah, once he started getting like agitated and like being like kind of a dick, I can see. I was hearing Chris Evans in my head being like a little bit more like how he was in Scott Pilgrim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was. Yeah, it's better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Now that that cover that I showed you for this episode is even funnier.
I think you should use it.
Shout out to the AI generated cover. That's perfect. Jesus. Yeah, it was good. It was seems like 7 issues. It's kind of long.
Yeah, but it didn't really feel like there was like a lot of like wasted space or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because they had like the whole Bullseye and Crossbones thing, and then like a little bit of Daredevil and Kingpin and Red Skull showed up. So it didn't seem like you were spending way too much time with anybody, but it felt like you were just getting just enough time to kind of like fully grasp the intentions of everybody and all that. The only thing I didn't like was the whole preachy, like, drugs are bad, don't do drugs, I'm better without drugs type of thing.
Oh, I can still be Captain America without the drugs. Fam, you took a vaccine 45 years ago. And you're like, you're not a drug addict. Stop it.
It's like someone who saw a penis and they're like, I'm gay.
Yeah, no, I knew I had to be gay. I saw one. What else does that mean? Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, I mean, you didn't have to marry the guy.
I think you're taking it a little too far.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was good. Not bad. Yeah, I've got nothing to say. I'm pretty sure once we go out there, everybody's going to act like they've been waiting hours for us to make tamales.
Finally, you're here.
Who do you want to take bets on who says it first?
Grandma.
I'm going to say Furiel. I'll see.
I'm pretty sure it'll be Grandma.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Make it out of the 90s.
One day.
Yeah. Not anytime soon, though. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for
just being you.
Yeah, thanks for being you. Thanks for listening. This year has been... I mean, we've only been doing this for about a year and a half, but this 2022 has gotten even bigger than I thought it would get for us, so...
We're going to get even bigger in 2023.
Yep. And we're almost in 2023, so...
So let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it safe, too, guys. Take care of yourselves out there.
Yeah.
These last couple of weeks of the year, shit gets crazy. People start doing stupid shit in the streets. If you don't have to go out, don't. Because it's going to be nuts out there.
Stay inside. It's the only safe place.
Please. All right, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.